How's it going, everybody? Today I want to put a brief message up on the love of God and what God requires. God only requires one thing for you to do in your entire life. You have a mission, you have things you want to accomplish, you want to start a business, or what about a job, and who do I marry, and what school do I go to, and what should I eat, and what's my nutrition plan, and all these sorts of things. And God is looking for love and nothing but love. Who was it that said, love God and do whatever? It doesn't matter what you're doing so long as you are doing love in the process. So what does love look like then? Love looks like Jesus. We want to know what the Father looks like. And Jesus said, if you've seen me, you've seen Daddy God. I call him Daddy God because he's an embracive God. He is an embracive, a God you can embrace, a God that looks like you and talks like you. He talks like you, and that's how you can hear him, because he talks how you listen. And I think that's just astounding when you think about the only thing that you're called to do in life is to love God. Now, how do you learn to love? How do you know? Because it is something you need to learn. You weren't born with love. You had to learn to love. You had to learn to give money to the poor person. You had to learn to sacrifice your needs for the needs of others. But it is a very simple message, guys, and a message that a lot of people probably won't preach in its totality, because it's so easy to get self-centered on all the things we do to make us an important person. I have this spiritual gift of prophecy, therefore I'm a powerful person. I'm a good singer, therefore people love me. I'm good at this and I do this, and I'm wealthy, and whatever it is that we draw to for our own identity. But identity needs to be shaped and formed by the presence of God, who you are to God. That God so loved me, he gave his life. It had nothing to do with what I did to earn his grace. I cannot earn grace, I believe, okay? And if I could earn grace, then how could it be grace? Grace, by definition, I define as unmerited favor at Christ's expense. That's what I'm calling it as of now. Grace is the gift of God to us. And so I talk really fast and I get excited. I'll leave you with this. I just want you to learn how to love. In your daily devotional life, when you're going about doing things, pray for people, put them first, serve them. This is something I'm trying to work on now, and it's something I do very well in my opinion, but something I'm working on, because God doesn't want us worried about, well, what do I have to do to please you today? God, you've got this mystical will, and it's so out there, and it's so hard to please you. You're so fastidious. That's what that word means. It means hard to please. You're so hard to please God, and I just got to do all the right things, and if I don't, I'm damned, or I'm judged, and I won't be happy. No. Yes, you won't be happy when you're not living for God. At least you shouldn't be. But there are pleasures of sin the Bible talks about, so I suppose you could be enjoying those. But in reality, just learn to love God. Learn to sit at his feet. Learn to ask questions instead of just impose your own belief system or dogmatism onto somebody. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. But what the Bible says is study to show yourself approved to God. So the only thing you need to prove is, God, I love you. And he said, what? If you love me, you will do what I say. You will obey my commandments. But he's not looking just for a do this and a don't do that. He's looking for relational love. How does God love you? I think it's awesome when God says things like, Ben, how do you like my love best express you? And how do you enjoy me best, Benjamin? And what is it that causes you to love me more? And why do you love me, Benjamin? And man, when you think of the benefits of God, isn't that what the psalmist said? Forget not all his benefits. I mean, you think of inner peace. How many of us would just like some more peace in our lives, in our minds? Can we just admit that? So I'm going to leave you with that. I just want you to know that God has all the benefits in the road for you. Psalm 37:4 says, delight yourself in God. He'll give you the desires and overflow of your heart. Why? Because he puts those things on your heart. He really has good plans, guys. He really wants your best. If you don't see God as a good God, if you feel like he's against you, how many's ever? I felt like that, right? I mean, I knew in my heart that he wasn't against me, but you feel like he's opposing your will, and he's taking away. Well, the Lord gives, but the Lord takes away, right? And you just feel like he's not granting you your heart's desires. Know that he will be your heart's desire when you let him be, okay? And God has saved you by his own grace. and you are born again by the power of God's blood, not because of anything you did. You'll never lose that if you're born again. And so just learn to love God. And I want to stop here before I get too long, kind of, because it's easy to just ramble on, just you get so excited and just think about how good God is. But just learn to love. Focus on love. If you can just say that, memorize 1 Corinthians 13 if you want, or read Heidi Baker's book maybe. I think is a good book on love. What was it called? Something like Loving the One, or Stop for the One, or something like that maybe. And anyways, just learn, when you look at people in life, try to understand where they're coming from. Walk a day in their shoes, and God will help you in this uncertainty.